Thank you very much, Atika and Misbah, for inviting me here and for the honor. I really feel like a bug in a rug today because I have this opportunity of speaking here to all these very, very influential people who are literally the who's who from the media industry in Pakistan. So you guys have the job of making people happy and giving them a reality check. And we have the job of saving lives. So together, I think we can really make an impact. And we've already heard a lot of people speak about the burden of breast cancer and how women are dying because of breast cancer. So, I hear a lot of statistics being quoted in Pakistan at various forums. And people say that, 1 in 9 women, 1 in 8 women. The reality is that we really don't know how big the burden is in Pakistan, because we don't really have a cancer registry in this country. So we don't know who is getting diagnosed at what age, at what stage, how many of them are dying. Is there a common factor in a certain area where more women are being diagnosed? I spent about 15 years of my life in the US training and subsequently working there as a breast surgeon. And then finally decided to move back because this is home and this is where I want to be. When I came back, I started working at AKUH about 7 years ago. And one of the first things I noticed was that the women walking through the door were much younger, and they had tumors that were a lot larger than what I was used to seeing in Boston. One of the first things that came to my mind was I wanted to study and see if I could figure out the actual details. And that's when I wondered about the cancer registry, and I was told that there isn't one. So the next best thing I could do was to look at the data at Aga Khan over the last 10 years. And I saw some alarming numbers. So as some of you might be aware, that the outcome of breast cancer is strictly dependent on the stage of the disease. That really means that if somebody comes with a very small tumor, they're likely going to do a lot better than somebody who comes with a larger tumor or a tumor that has spread to other organs. That's pretty much common sense. So when I reviewed the data from Aga Khan, what we saw was that greater than 50% of the women at Aga Khan were presenting with stage 3 and 4 disease. Now, breast cancer stage goes from 0 to 4. So these were what we refer to as locally advanced breast cancers. I went a step further and got some of my friends in the US to take out the numbers from the National Cancer Database in the US, where people report their institutional cases to a common registry. When we looked at their numbers, only 20% of their cases were in the same category as locally advanced. So clearly there was a huge difference. We also had about 27% of our women who were being diagnosed under the age of 40 years. Now, Aga Khan is clearly not a representative of the entire country. And what about all those women who actually never make it to a healthcare facility? So the first step to actually making a difference, in my humble opinion, is recognition of the breadth, depth, and the volume of the problem. So in order to do that, we obviously need to have some kind of a cancer registry where we can study this. But while that is being thought about, and people, hopefully somebody somewhere is working on it, what are some of the other issues that we face as physicians on a day-to-day basis? So in my head, I categorize them into 4 major issues. The first issue, where I think the media can really be helpful, is the problem of recognition of this being an issue by the woman herself. A lot of women attribute lumps in their breast and they call it ये दूध की गुठली है, या मैंने ब्रेस्ट फीड किया था तो मुझे कैंसर नहीं हो सकता, या मेरी फैमिली में कभी किसी को कैंसर हुआ है तो मुझे तो कैंसर नहीं हो सकता. And they sit on it. They don't come to the doctors. So we see women that are walking with eroded breasts, bleeding, foul smelling, maggots in them. This is not something that I ever saw when I worked abroad. If the woman recognizes the problem, the next hurdle she faces is getting to a facility because the man may not allow her to do so. The woman is often blamed for being promiscuous. And I think this stems from the fact that the man is already looking to remarry once the woman has been diagnosed. I've seen it many times, that while the woman is going through treatment, she goes through a divorce, is thrown out of the house with the kids, and we never see the man again. I think this is again one area where you guys can be extremely helpful. The third issue, which the Governor Saab alluded to, and also the Honorable PTV Chairman alluded to, was the issue of access. So yes, there are facilities here that do provide free screening. But आप सब तो मीडिया से हैं, आपको बहुत सारे एड्स में देखती हूँ जिनकी शूटिंग जो है वो बाहर हुई होती है. हमारे यहाँ सीनरी की तो कमी नहीं है, but from what I understand, and I may be wrong, is that the quality of the processing, I hear, is important. If the quality of processing in the film is important, the tasveer is important. So what that tells me is that any mediocre quality film is not going to do the job. So yes, according to some recent statistics, there are about 62 mammography machines in Pakistan. If we look at the volume and the numbers that we have of women who actually warrant getting a mammogram, those numbers are certainly not enough. But a bigger problem than that, really, somebody mentioned Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So there are many foundations like that are willing to give us money to buy machines. And if you ask me, I think buying a machine is the easiest thing we can do. But is that what we should be doing? We don't have people who know how to operate those machines. We don't have women who can be technologists who actually know how to position a woman and take a good image. We don't have radiologists in numbers enough and of the quality that you and I would want reading our mammograms. So before we run around buying machines, we actually have to collectively put in an effort and get some women to get trained so we can have quality imaging going forward. And it's really a dream come true if in the next 5 years we can have imaging in this country that is of the same quality as in the West. Now, while all this is happening, we are working on the side to do the next best thing that we can do for early detection. So I'm personally involved in a project in which the First Lady of Pakistan, Mrs. Samina Alvi, has been extremely supportive as well, which is training healthcare workers in interior Sindh in recognition of problems, educating women to identify problem and come forward. And the last thing, I think my time is up, I see Misbah standing here. And the last thing is really the quality and the quality checks, which I think the government should be doing. So I appreciate your understanding and thank you once again for the opportunity.